These guys are great. 5 stars. Boom.
We are about to launch.
Truth Not Trends. What's going on, people? Jesse Schmidt, Liam Bauer in the house.
TNT HQ. Changing
back.
the world one set at a time. Straight outside the box. TNT.
This is the podcast where we help you maximize your strength as safely
And efficiently.
as possible. My name is Jesse Schmidt, and I have been a strength coach for 2,336 days.
Holy moly. My name is Liam Bauer, and I've been a strength coach for 35. It's got to be closing in on 36 years. 35 at least, and counting.
Man, that's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years. What's up?
Starting to look like Gandalf.
No way. I've literally never grown a beard once in my entire life. Although I did succumb to the 90s goatee trend. So I was close. I had the mini beard. So, but no Gandalf beards. No ZZ Top for me.
Hey, it's episode 150.
150.
We made it.
We made it. And you know what that means,
episodes.
people? That means that we had the charming, intelligent, the lovely, the unsurpassable, I don't know if that's a word, Patty Durrell.
Insurmountable.
And Patty Durrell back for episode 150. She was here for episode number 1. She was here for episode number 50. She was here for episode 100. And yes, she was back for episode 150. And taking care of business, keeping us on point, asking some pointed questions. Lots to talk about, lots to unpack. This episode's mostly about our business, our growth, our journey, our adventure. Not a lot of strength training talk in this episode, folks, but hopefully you'll stick around and continue the journey with us.
This episode's more about becoming a massive business success.
Massive success like my massive tibialis anterior.
You want a business that's as massively successful as your bicep peaks.
That's right.
So tune in.
Tune in, people. All right. And the other thing you got to remember when you're around here at TNT is to take a moment to visit www.tntstrength.com and check out our TNT store.
Ooh. What do we sell at that store?
So there's some stuff there, and it's good for you. You should look at it. What is it, Jesse? Tell them about it.
We have 5 fantastic nutritional supplements we sell. We ship them right to you.
Yeah,
right
free
there.
shipping, right
Buy
there.
them through the website.
Anywhere in the United States.
Creatine monohydrate.
Boom.
Whey protein.
Boom.
Chocolate flavor. Other flavors will be forthcoming.
Boom, boom.
There you go. We have a omega fish oil supplement.
Boom.
We have a probiotic.
Gut boom.
And we have a vitamin D plus K2.
Oh, man, I'm realizing we should have called it gut boom.
Gut boom.
That would have been awesome.
The gut blaster.
Gut boom.
So
Muscle boom. They should have all had a boom in their name.
At TNT Strength, we advocate a high-protein whole food diet. But if you notice you have some gaps or you want to just optimize things a little bit, these supplements are a fantastic way to go. Check them out, tntstrength.com.
Go get them today.
And please enjoy episode number 150 with Patty Durrell interviewing TNT.
The last time we did this, you had just opened your brick and mortar.
Yeah, so I looked at the last time when we released episode number 100, it was October 31st, 2021. So May, June, July, August, September. We were at most 6 months into owning our studio.
But that's when you released it, right? So I feel like you were like 4 months into it or something, whatever. But it was you had just opened it, right?
So here's the crazy thing, Patty. We recently went back and looked at our schedule from May 2021. Okay. We had 20 sessions on our books for May 2021. 20. How strong would your business be if you were doing 20 sessions a week? Probably not. Probably not very. That was startup TNT right there.
That's awesome though to start.
Yeah, it was good that we had more than zero for sure. Really, we had more than that because we were still doing some virtuals, but those were the people who were coming into the studio. A lot of people stayed on Zoom for a couple months because in the East Bay, people are very cautious about COVID. But anyway, fast forward in August, we're recording this in September 2023. In August 2023, we averaged 130 sessions a week.
Nice.
We've had some significant growth over here at TNT. Pretty cool. Yeah.
That's very cool. I know what that means to an organization and how hard it is to do that. So good job.
Thanks, Patty. It means a lot coming from an established veteran like yourself.
A seasoned professional.
And aren't you both the same? Just maybe a little newer to a brick and mortar, but definitely expert, seasoned professionals.
Yeah, well, being a business owner is definitely a lot different than working in somebody else's business. I mean, there are definitely similarities, but I mean, you have to learn a totally different set of skills to be owning and operating the business. And I'm sure you've read the E-Myth. That's the entrepreneurial seizure is a real thing, and you have to be a chameleon. You got to turn into some a new, better version of yourself when you grow that way.
Jesse, it's funny you bring up the E-Myth because I had the book and the CD. I read the book probably 14 times. Like I am Sarah the Pipe Maker, or I was her. And I wore out the CD. I wore it out. I listened to it so many times like it wouldn't play anymore. So definitely get it. And it's different. It is different. And being an owner operator is a lot harder than just being an owner.
No doubt.
Or just being an operator.
Yeah, you feel tugged in many different directions all the time. Your time is at a premium. Liam will tell you because he's waking up pretty early a couple times a week nowadays.
Well, I wake up early every day, but
extra early a couple days.
Yeah, I was here at 4:30 yesterday.
Yeah, I get that, Liam. You're preaching to the choir. And the best thing or the worst thing about owning a business is the buck starts and stops right here. There's nobody else to look to blame. There's nobody else to look to for the answers. There's also nobody else telling you what to do or telling you what the answers are, right? But who holds us accountable? Who is holding us accountable? And that's what I think the most important thing for us owner operators to do is to find someone to hold us accountable to the organization. It's really important to have that at the top because it's easy to let yourself not be responsible for your goals and your actions and start pointing the finger at everybody else when you yourself have stuff you got to do and control. But I'm sure this is what we're here for today. So
I think it's important. This has been the major thing in our lives for the last couple of years. So it's important to talk about. As we were talking about the E-Myth, I was thinking about, if you're listening to this, the E-Myth is a book by Michael Gerber that is basically about, E stands for entrepreneur. And the myth is that, if you're great at what you do, you should go out and start a business around it. And it's a myth because being a technician, like being a trainer, is different than being a business owner. It requires a different set of skills. So a lot of people have this entrepreneurial seizure where, the boss says something they don't like and they go, I'm going to go start my own business. And they do it. And then they realize what happens a lot of the time is that people get stuck working in the business and they work really long hours for, low pay a lot of the time because they don't know how to scale their business. They don't have the management skills. They don't have the entrepreneurial skills to create demand for their product or service. And so you have to learn those things. And one addendum to that important transformation of going from an employee to, a business owner is that it doesn't have to necessarily happen all at once. And I say that because there's another book by Mike Michalowicz called Profit First. I don't know if you've caught that one from Patty. She says yes. And Mike Michalowicz and Michael Gerber are buddies. They wrote these different books, but they're buddies. And in Profit First, Mike Michalowicz references the E-Myth, and he says that, you have to wear these different hats. You have to be the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. But it's not just like flicking on a light switch. You don't start a business and go from, being 100% technician to 100% entrepreneur and forget about the other hats. You have to be able to throttle them up and down. So that's been one of the big lessons for me, is not just totally relinquishing the job of being a trainer in lieu of being a business owner, but being able to do both things, more or less at different times.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And I think you learn every day, and you learn every year and every week and every month. And you just keep hopefully adding those tools in your toolbox.
Hopefully.
I don't read any of those books, so I can't talk about it because I don't give a shit.
I'm literally looking on my bookshelf, and I have Profit First is up there, and I know the E-Method. It's not on this bookshelf here. It's in the team office. Like, it's just yeah. But it's good that one of you are doing that. So hey, you know what? This is your 150th podcast. Holy crap! So I feel like so grateful and so honored to have been on this journey with you both through your podcast. One, I know you both, you're awesome practitioners, you're awesome humans. And so that just makes me want to be a part of what you're doing. And then for you to invite me on here every 50th episode is like such an honor. And I'm so grateful to be here with you guys.
Pretty cool. We love you, Patty.
Yeah.
Glad to have you back again.
I knew it was coming up quick. I was like, oh man, we got to track her down and make sure this happens.
Yeah. And, one of the things I love most about your podcast is one, the humor and the wit that you always have, not only during the podcast, but with your titles and some of the outtakes and stuff. I mean, you guys are just really, you add such great humor, and it makes it just so much better to listen to and to be a part of. And also you'll be controversial, and you'll kind of open our minds up to things that maybe we think aren't true, right? Truth, not trends, right? And you'll open our minds up and change our perspective. If we can open our minds up, right? You'll help us do that. So I kind of wanted to know from both of you, and maybe this can be over time because I don't think I've asked you this question before, but what has come across your podcast that has challenged you and made you change your own philosophy? And there's a follow-up question to that, kind of an opposite of what maybe did you say, oh, this is definitely a trend here. This isn't truth. So what maybe changed your mind that you thought was a trend or became a truth for you? And then what maybe was someone else's truth that you were open to, and at the end, you decided, no, this is just a trend?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the whole purpose of it has always been to try to stay within what I feel is the truth. So nothing has changed my mind along the way. As far as the podcast goes, in my own career, because I've been doing it so long, I definitely have evolved many thought processes, especially around nutrition, probably. And recently, experimenting with different things like the time restricted eating. And although even like a lot of this stuff is not new for me, I've been playing with nutrition through my whole career. And like, for instance, like the ketogenic stuff or low carb stuff has become kind of a buzzword recently, but that's like stuff I was exploring like 30 years ago. And it's been around obviously much, much longer than that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like anything has changed my mind, but I mean, my mind I'm always evolving, hopefully, and trying to point myself to what I feel is accurate from the knowledge that we have at the moment. Because that's been my whole driving force behind using that term is staying congruent, right, with the information that I provide and trying to be non-contradictory. And, one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten was, I was a moderator on a forum, strength and conditioning forum, for probably like 15 years. Anyone who spends a lot of time on the internet, knows about trolls and flame wars and all kinds of things. And, I had my own like stalkerish trolls, and for me, the greatest compliment was their biggest complaint was that I always sounded the same, like, you always keep saying the same thing all the time. And I was like, are you trying to insult me? Because like, that's the whole point,
right?
Is that I'm not like going off in some weird new cool thing, and they would like try to like make that as like some bad thing on my part, that my stuff sounded so consistent all the time. So I just thought that was good news as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
I think for me, one thing major thing I've taken away from, all the guests that we've interviewed on our podcast and all the different, techniques they use and tools they advocate is that there's no one right way for everybody to train. And So, we've interviewed a bunch of people who do, isometrics and static time, static contractions, and, a lot of folks who do, one single set to failure. And there's a lot of people who do exclusively machine-based training, whether it's Nautilus or MedX or, what have you. We've interviewed all kinds of different folks, and where the rubber meets the road with our clients and our business is that we try to use all of those different techniques in the right situation, including one example is not training to failure, which sounds like blasphemy. That's maybe one of those like controversial ideas that you were talking about, Patty, for people in the high intensity niche or effort based niche, whatever you want to call that pocket of the fitness industry. But we sometimes don't train to failure. We have, as an example, we have an 80, about to turn 90-year-old client who came to us. He's never lifted weights in his life, and he's been training for like 6 months or so.
I love that. That is the best.
It's incredible.
He started brand new, fresh as an 89-year-old.
Yeah.
He knew he needed it.
Yeah. Really takes a lot of courage to do that.
Absolutely.
We know the objections that, older adults make to lifting weights. They all think they're going to get hurt, and it could take a longer time to come back from an injury at that age as well. So yeah, kudos to that guy. But, he's right. Some people take a long time to ramp up to actually working truly hard or, close to muscular failure. And Liam has been mostly training this guy, and he's experimented with a lot of, different methods, whether it's 3 strikes or, doing 20 reps or doing a multiple set scheme to try to, build up some fatigue and get him to work a little harder, because he's reticent. He's invested. So he shows up, but he's very, very cautious. And so I think Liam's done a great job working with this guy I'll put it this way. If Liam had tried to just get him to go until he can't go, just do as many reps as you can until you reach failure, it would have been a miserable failure, and he probably would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah, I 100% think that's true.
So that's one of these, Liam describes his style, our style, as like Jeet Kune Do, is a blend of all these different, modalities and techniques. And that's one instance where it's been super beneficial and helped us not only retain a client, but more importantly, help a person, make resistance training a consistent part of their life and improve their quality of life.
Yeah, it has been an interesting process with that guy in particular, and he is making progress. But I'm applying it in a much different way. So yeah, definitely if he had been obviously run into like somebody who thought it was a kettlebell thing or a barbell thing or
CrossFit.
Yeah, or a guy or gal who was just hot on the idea that he had to go to failure and we need to get him to go there as soon as we can. I just think he would have left. And he's he has good boundaries. To his credit, he will say I'm not doing it or whatever, right? And so I had to find a way that would get him to keep trying a little harder. And I did find a method that's working, and he's gotten stronger, and the weights keep going up and all that stuff. And he when he's in between sets, he's often dancing around a little bit.
That's so great.
He's doing good. I see him out with his wife sometimes, and that he looks like he's moving really well.
That's so great. I feel like when you can touch someone's life at that age, even 20 years before that, who's never strength trained before, really at any age, but especially that age, that is the epitome of functional training. You're going to change the way he functions in his life so profoundly in such a short period of time that he's going to wish he started that when he was 50 years old,
Yeah.
To me, that's the ultimate in functional training, is to strengthen the body so they function better.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the idea of taking back the mantle of, functional training, because that connotation has started to mean, doing, funny position stuff with cables and aerobic balls and really, seems to me that what goes along with that is like not very challenging exercise. And yeah, you're right. Like when you safely challenge a person with weights within their, limitations and abilities, the result is functional improvement. And that really is functional training. It's not just doing easy
Yeah,
light stuff.
It's not about some weird modality. The reality is that whole craze, it's going on 30 years ago at this point, it was at its peak, right? The functional moving craze, and all the coaches that were associated with, even they, to their credit, for most of them, have evolved far beyond that, and realized the mistakes that they made themselves and owned those things over time. So I give them credit for that. But they did make a lot of mistakes, and I think the static thing is another thing that I've been, playing with it, that also for many, many years, probably since the 90s, but it's underutilized and underappreciated. I think the pure isometric stuff. I don't believe in the HIIT community that most of the practitioners that do use it effectively. I think they overdo the time and underdo the effort, surprisingly. I see these guys from the names can remain nameless, but the truth is that, and this is all supported again by the science, it takes such a brief effort once you've got people the ability, we're talking like 5 to 6 seconds is all you need. And I see these people applying, quote unquote, time static contractions, and they're saying they're doing it for 90 seconds or whatever. It's really, in my experience or opinion, like kind of a waste of time to be applying it in that way. And if you can do it safely, the goal should be for it to be as in brief, as intense as it can be. And now when you do that, you can literally have the impact that we're looking for. Maximum motor recruitment, all those things that we work when we go to failure and stuff. But in a fraction of the time, even more so. We're talking 5 or 6 seconds of effort in a few different movement patterns, and it has a huge impact. And just from my own experience, I was applying it recently to my own workouts and changing nothing else about what I was doing. Didn't change my nutrition, didn't change anything else about it. Just applied these pure static things. I put on like 2 pounds of muscle in a short amount of time.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I'm confident that it was the static stuff because, like I said, I didn't change anything else, as you should when you're doing experiments. So I think that, and there's tools out there that are inexpensive because most of them, that's the problem. It's cost prohibitive because if you want to be able to measure it, right? Because you could always do manuals or you could do anything for static stuff, but how do you measure it? Well, there's tools out there that are great, like the Vive, but that costs $20,000 plus, right, to get one of those. It's an incredible piece of equipment, but it's not cheap. But we discovered a tool recently that's called IsoMax, which is basically allows you to replicate like any barbell movement you can possibly imagine, and it's like under $500. And it's measurable. It has a digital force gauge built in. You can use time, you can use all kinds of things and actually program and track and measure the output. So it's amazing. And it's a powerful tool that's small and simple and light, portable. It's great.
That sounds awesome. Are you guys getting one for your studio?
Yeah, we have one already. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting.
It's fun too, because like I get on that thing and I'm deadlifting over 500 pounds on there. And, it's fun when I have a client who's like 35 years old and he's like, I go, okay, we're going to do this. And then he's like, I did 300. And then I go, let me give you a demo. Wham. And then they're like, whoa. So it's good to feel like I'm twice as strong and twice their age at the same time.
Awesome. So last time we talked about that we were together for your 100th podcast. You guys were about 6 months into your brick and mortar at that point, and COVID was still kind of fresh as well. So things were challenging, and you gave us your stats, Jesse, of how much you've grown, which is amazing. I wanted to ask you both, like, what's the biggest aha moment that you had that surprised you in that time? Coming out of COVID, I don't know what it's going to be for you. Maybe just being new business owners, trying to hire staff. What would you say is the biggest aha moment that just took you by surprise? You never saw it coming. And it could be really positive, or it could be really just something that, was like, gotcha.
I could think of a lot of aha moments we've had. So are we talking from a business standpoint or from a training standpoint or just anything?
I think both would be awesome for your listeners to hear.
Okay. Well, this is something that'll be valuable for everybody. I think we have realized how crucially important Google reviews are for our business. In our first year of operation, we didn't really push clients to review us. And we did because I think we were just a new business and we're in a good location. We sort of have grown organically without doing, we've always done a good amount of networking, but we haven't done a ton of like paid marketing. Like you're supposed to put 8% of your revenue toward marketing or something like that. And we've not been anywhere near that. At times we have marketed more, but not consistently. And now we've been in business for 2.5 years or so. And in the last 8 months, we have made a big push to boost our Google reviews. And that has resulted in a significant uptick in business. It has, because, nowadays people, when they're interested in hiring a service, they Google it and they want to see your total reviews and they want to see your ratings and they want to learn about what other people are saying about you. I think it's also validating for current clients to see those reviews come up. It's sort of like, it feels like a victory each time one of those reviews comes in, because we have people, new clients and also clients we've been working with for years, leaving reviews. And so, we had one guy leave a review that said, in 18 years of working with personal trainers, these are the best, people I've worked with. And it's like, it means so much to get a review like that, just for us to hear it, and it validates our decision to like start a business. And for somebody else who's thinking about hiring a trainer to see a review like that is a major thing. So yeah, I did not realize how much of an impact that would make. Everybody, even if somebody comes to us as a referral from somewhere else, they read those reviews and it impacts them. It helps, right? It helps get them through the door. So I think it feels so tangible to me, because before we opened our studio, we were working at a box gym, and you're just trying to peel off as many new members as you can to become personal training clients. And it felt like pulling teeth. It was very challenging, because it really wasn't the demographic that we were looking for. There, people in box gyms, by and large, are looking for a cheap membership. They don't want to be bothered. They want to do their own thing. And maybe you sell them on personal training, but it's a small, out of 5,000 members at that gym, there were a couple hundred who were personal training clients. And almost everybody that comes into TNT is ready to sign up. And I think the Google reviews are a major reason for that.
Good for you.
I have to echo that that was exactly where I was going to go to. Because although it's true that we haven't spent a lot on marketing, we have tried pretty much everything you can think of. We've tried, Facebook marketing. We've tried Google ads. We've tried print ads. We've tried direct mail stuff. We've tried a little bit of everything, and nothing has had the impact that just having boosted these Google reviews with a conscious effort. So Jesse didn't mention, we had maybe 10 reviews when we began with this process of like, let's make this a something that we're consciously thinking of doing. And we just started asking politely for people, hey, you're happy, whatever, like, can you take 2 minutes to do this for us, right? And we've gone up, I think we're close to 80 reviews now. They're all 5-star reviews.
Nice.
Almost every single person that calls us, when you say, how did you hear about us? Oh, I searched and I saw, wow, all these reviews, right? And they're all stellar reviews.
So great.
It just keeps on snowballing, right? The flywheel that Jesse likes to talk about. So, but we made it we have a meeting every week, a business meeting amongst the team. And one day we just said, hey, we could use a few more. Let's take the next 20 minutes and all of us sit here and ask for reviews from our clients. And we got like 4 or 5 reviews.
Yeah, we got like 6 or 8 that day.
Yeah, just that day when we said, hey, let's take 20 minutes and just do this. We're all going to do this right now. Let's all text somebody and go, hey, can you do that for us? And bam, 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 we just added another nice chunk to the list. So it's amazing. And it is, I have to acknowledge, because I've always been a word of mouth person, like being king. But these days, it's, I have to acknowledge the truth that, these other reviews are carrying weight, right? I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur in that sense.
It is kind of the new word of mouth, the Google review.
It's digital word of mouth.
Yeah. And, again, someone took the time to do it and write it, because we all know that people don't take that time. And so when they do, we've also benefited. They're not just, these guys are great. They're just incredibly kind, generous, thoughtful reviews.
Yeah, which is funny because there are a lot of reasons somebody won't leave you a review. It might be too early. They haven't felt or seen the results from the training yet. Maybe we've had some people say, no, I'm not going to leave a review because I don't like having an online presence at all. That's a funny one for me, because like whether you realize it or not, you do have an online presence. pretty impossible to be off the grid. It's just an ignorance is bliss kind of thing. You just haven't Googled yourself. But yeah, another reason people won't leave reviews outside of just forgetting or not feeling like they have the time is they want to leave this perfect review. And honestly, if somebody just gave us like 5 stars, sent, that would be fine for us. We don't need any words. We just want to see these guys are great. 5 stars, boom. But people do sort of procrastinate and they're like perfectionists about it because they want to leave this, like, if they, we have people leading to training, people for, 5, 10, 15 years, right? And they're thinking about like 10 years. How do I put that all into words? And they build it up into this thing. But I want to put the cherry on top for this whole thing because the whole reason we've been able, one of the major reasons we've been able to scale our Google reviews is because someone in my BNI chapter found a service called Nice Job, which I highly recommend. Patty, check it out. Anybody listening who's got any business, but especially if you're a high intensity training business, this is a software service that helps respectfully solicit your clients and customers and leave reviews. So what it does is it will prompt them. You plug in people's contact information. It will prompt them with a text message and say, "Hey, it's Jesse from TNT. I know you've been enjoying the training. If it's not too much to ask, would you just click this link and head over to our Google profile and leave us a review?" And everyone ignores that. And then a couple days later, they get an email that says, same thing. "Hey, it's Jesse again. I know things are busy, but I'd love it if you go leave us a review." And then people ignore that one. And then a couple days later, they get another email. And that's the third time they've heard from you in a short span of time. So people start to leave those reviews and then they get a fourth contact. And many people, we were able to scale basically from 0 to shade under 80 reviews inside of a year, inside of 8 months by using that service.
Yeah. And again, having tried many, many things, it was a pleasant surprise that there was zero doubt that it was working, and it was doing exactly what it said it would do and doing it well.
That's awesome.
Definitely a really simple, effective tool.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Definitely good.
Yeah. What was the flip side of that?
The bad surprise?
I don't want to put bad on it. I just want to say, maybe the thing that was, all right, we really got to change this. All right, this isn't working.
If we want to stay with the marketing concept, like I do feel like none of the other things really delivered that we tried. And, of course, all the companies will tell you, well, you're not throwing enough money at it or you're not giving it enough time. But we're getting nothing from them, essentially. And, we got all fired up about this direct mail campaign because we heard from other peers that it was effective. And we blasted out, like, I think 3,500 postcards to a very specific targeted niche neighborhoods and all that stuff. We didn't get one response, not one.
So question for you about that, though, like you just said about this Nice Job, just curious, because I've been through this with you. I've been through the same kind of stuff with you, right? The first thing goes out and everybody ignores it. And you need to follow up 4 times on Nice Job. Did you follow up with your direct mail 4 times? Did you hit that list second, third, fourth?
We didn't do that. Yeah, we didn't do it with the direct mail, but we did with the other stuff. We had print ads running. We had Google ads running. We had Facebook ads running, all that stuff. And none of it was really converting.
Yeah, I think there's truth on both sides there. I think having learned more about direct mail campaigns, it takes a lot of touch points and it takes several layers to, and that's just marketing in general. But
again, 3,500 and not a single response is you'd expect at least a fraction of a percent, like one person.
It was odd not to hear from a single person that they received something from us, because we were expecting a 1% callback rate and just nothing came up. But that is what it is.
Yeah. But this everything else has been working well, and we're super busy. You can't really complain. We're only open Monday through Friday still at this point. So we're like doing as many sessions as some of our peers who are open more days of the week. And still, that even with all the work we're doing, Wednesday is still kind of a free day. So, it's because of our model, it's all Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, right? Those are the days that everybody are training
Gotcha. Like Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. Got it.
Exactly. Or the Monday, Friday, right? Like that's the lion's share of it.
Yeah.
We do have a few once a weekers, but they're in the minority for sure.
It's awesome.
I will say one major area we needed to grow was that we needed to get strong handle on our all our financials. And I think that's something I'm now helping put on this series of events through the Rotary Club of Oakland. We're calling them Rotary Masterminds, and we're talking about these, business basics like knowing your operating expenses. I think that's something that new business owners, new entrepreneurs probably aren't thinking about very much.
Right. You open up your bank account and you say, "Oh, I have money. I can."
Exactly. Okay, good.
I'm okay. And then you open it up and you're like, "Shit, where did everything go? What am I going to do?" And that's how you manage your finances in the beginning, right? And then you're like, "This is not working. This is not working." Like,
yeah,
I think that's so true, Jesse. That's like the total entrepreneurial myth, right? We think, let's open up a business and we have absolutely no idea how to run a business. Michael Gerber.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think my personal approach when we first opened our business was, well, if we just sell a lot, we won't have to worry about it too much. And that was dumb. So,
not dumb, just ignorant.
just ignorant. Well, I grew, so my former version of Jesse was a little dumber, and now I'm a little smarter, and I still have lots to learn. But so that's just if you are owning and operating a business, I mean, you need to have a firm grasp on your operating expenses
and your cash flow. Right? I mean, cash flow is a big deal too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to make any money if you don't have cash flow. And by cash flow, we mean profit, people. So, I mean, that was a big learning for us. This year, we have gotten a much firmer grasp on our operating expenses. We've really looked at, run a fine-tooth comb through the things we're spending money on. We've dropped some things that we shouldn't have been spending money on. Marketing, obviously, we, always have a spotlight on because, everybody wants more clients, right? And there are a million different ways and a million different people who will take your money for marketing. It is easy to spend a lot of it really fast. Yeah. And it's easy to waste a lot of it really fast too, because I don't know. My view of marketing is evolving. I do think there's some truth to it. It needs to be you have to cast a wide net. You need to layer it. It does need to be something that's going on consistently, but you really do need to keep a tight handle on how much money's going out.
And, cultivating the reviews, and something that I've always been saying is, just delivering like the world-class experience here every time, is the way that we can keep that going, right? Like, and we are, as a team, people are having, not just here getting a good workout, but they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, they're looking forward to it. We have a diverse population. I mean, in all ways, age, abilities, everything. And they're all enjoying the process, right? And learning and growing and benefiting from it. So that's it's just, I mean, it's exactly what it should be as far as the product is concerned. So that's super cool. It's just fun to keep seeing that sort of continue to move forward and improve. Yeah, so that part's awesome.
There's another concept from Donald Miller, which is that you need to have clear financial objectives. It's kind of interesting going through Donald Miller's work because I've done a lot of reading of like Jim Collins and Peter Drucker, the sort of like classic business lit. And Donald Miller's ideas to me are newer. And, like Peter Drucker has that quote that, culture eats strategy for breakfast, So I tend to have this sort of like 30,000 foot view of how to run a business. But I will also say that since we've taken the Donald Miller approach of having very clear financial objectives, what I mean by that is we have a goal number to have as a cash reserve in our bank account. We have a goal number of sessions that we want to be doing on a weekly basis. We have a goal amount of recurring monthly revenue that we want to be achieving. And we have a goal amount of annual revenue that we want to be achieving.
And target amount of clients.
So yeah, both number of sessions and number of clients. Those are numbers that we're tracking on a weekly basis and talking about as a team. And that's one of those things, along with operating expenses, that I think it's crucial, at least for your leadership team to be hyper aware of. Those are very motivating, and that was a change for me too, because I've never sort of been motivated by numbers, but I can't deny the results of being focused on those numbers has. I mean, just in the last several months, like in the last 2 or 3 months, we've seen a 30% increase in our business.
That's awesome.
And it's really in that time that we've really been dialing in on those numbers and talking about them on a weekly basis. So
I think that it's a synergy too with, like I said, with the reviews, with the, delivering the world-class stuff. It's, the other thing I was going to say is, I do all the SEO stuff is like so simplistic that we've discovered, because we started to pay attention to, like, when people do searches, what are they searching for? And they're searching for very mundane things like gym near me. You know what I mean? It's personal training near me, And so I build all that into all the SEO stuff. Like when I'm tagging blog articles, podcast stuff, all that stuff is in there. So when people search, gym near me, it drives them to our blog, to our podcast, to our website. And then things are interlinked within there, right? So you can link it inside there so that it kind of creates this loop where they get caught in a spiral that keeps them there, based on how you link those things together with each other. And it's like super simple and sounds like nothing because, rather than something highly specific like muscle hypertrophy, it's like, it's literally just gym near me.
Workout.
I need gym.
Thank you for sharing that. Search engine optimization tags and words are so important for people to find us.
Hey, what are those guys doing here?
Whenever I feel like I'm stalling out on my bench press, I know I need a new strength curve.
Whether you're stalling out on the road or stalling out in the gym, you need something with great engineering.
That's right. And
So look for the pendulum. Pendulum.
Not just your average strength machines.
No, they have smooth strength curves.
Amazing rigidity.
And did we mention the engineering's fantastic?
That's right. Not to mention, they come in cool colors.
Like red.
And silver. Well, that was kind of weird. What was that all about? Back to the interview.
You were mentioning Donald Miller. Is that the story brand, Donald Miller, that you're talking about?
Yeah, so he wrote Building a Story Brand. He also wrote another book called How to Grow Your Small Business. And he also, he hosts, there are 2 podcasts, Marketing Made Simple, and there's also another one called Business Made Simple. And those are both, I highly recommend, listening to them. This is a total non sequitur, but just one thing I've learned, from running a business and being involved in these, larger organizations is that a crucial element of communication is just repetition. And Liam and I were just talking about this, like at the point where we are getting like exasperated by relaying the same idea over and over and over is the point where other people are just starting to get it. And I think that plays back into that marketing idea, right? Is that like, you really just have to be a broken record. I mean, and we do this as trainers, right? We explain to people, well, you've got to train to failure because we recruit more muscle fiber, when we work harder in those last reps of the set, we move slow because you keep it safe, right? We're a broken record about those things, but you have to be a broken record about the business stuff as well. So whether you're reading one of Donald Miller's books or you're listening to one of those podcasts, they really cover the same concepts throughout those different mediums. But it's important to hear them over and over because they're fundamentals. Like we're just who were we? One of our podcast guests the other day, we were talking about there are no black belt moves.
Oh yeah, Jay Gennaro.
Jay Gennaro. Yeah. So we I think that one's been released at this point.
Yep. That's a good one.
So he's
a martial arts instructor who's also a longtime friend and the guy I've worked with over the years in different capacities. And he's a martial arts instructor among other things, entrepreneur as well. And that's the term he was using. Sort of, there's no such thing as a black belt move. You learn the basics and you just keep doing them better and better and better. And that's something I've said about lots of things as well. So with athletes and stuff, the foundation of elite athletes, or they do the basics better than everybody else. They don't have some secret thing that nobody knows about. There's no secret punch or secret way to swing the bat or whatever. You know what I mean? They've got the basics down better, and the timing and execution and all that stuff.
Who is it? Coach Wooden would spend a whole practice just doing the basics, teaching everybody how to tie their shoes, right?
Yep.
I mean, they would spend a whole practice just tying shoes, because if your shoe comes untied on the basketball court, that's not a good thing. So knowing the basics is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, there's a really fantastic, this is a little bit of a non sequitur also, but there's a fantastic here in California motorcycle safety course. I've been a motorcycle rider for like 30 years. And anytime someone talks to me about motorcycles, I always go, have you taken that course? Go take it, right? Because it's controlled and operated and run by the state, but it is extremely well done. And they literally start you by walking with the motorcycle. Like you're walking it and you're pushing it along the ground. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so basic, but it's 2 whole days of actual practical learning to ride and move and every little aspect. And by the end of those 2 days, you're like an entirely different person. You don't need to know anything. And by the time you're done, and the other cool thing about it is if you fail for any reason, you get to take it again for free. So I just tell guys, go take it, man, because the worst thing that can happen is you get more practice for free.
Right.
It reminds me of Zen in the Art of Archery. I don't know if you ever caught that, but I read that this guy goes to like Japan to train with like the world's, best like archer, archery master. And like for the first month he's there, he's just focusing on his breathing. He doesn't even get to lift the bow yet, and then he learns how to string it, and that that takes another month, and he doesn't get to shoot it for like 6 months or something like that.
The Japanese are amazing in how they shoot.
Methodical, right? And back to your point, Jesse, about repetition, like it's so true and it's so frustrating. And no matter what it is that you're teaching in life or you're trying to learn, especially if you're talking to other humans, we have a saying around here, okay, they need to hear it 7 more times. And when they hear it 7 times, they need to hear it 7 more times. And when they hear it 7 more times, they need to hear it 7 more times. And like we have clients around here who have been coming, either training with me for 20 something years. And every time they sit on a machine, we still go over the expectations.
Right.
And they still need to hear it, and they still need the reminder. And it's just human nature to let go of the things we don't want to hear, or we don't want to do, or that aren't important to us. And somebody's got to keep us accountable, right? So I love that you have identified that, the power of the repetition.
Yeah, I've had clients literally that I worked with for years, and you may have experienced this too, Patty, who even after 5 years or whatever, they couldn't keep their attention through one whole set. You could see their mind start to wander. And I'd have these little words like, don't balance your checkbook while you're here with me. You know what I mean? Like, stop doing your laundry, like whatever.
Yeah.
Because you could see their head is someplace else. And I'm like, whatever it is, it'll be there when you're done. Be here now.
32 years right here, right? I mean, 32 years. I'm working out in my own studio. My head is always somewhere. Oh my God, is that something on the floor over there? What's going on over there? Like, why am I not paying attention to me in my moment right now? Why is is that a client that just walked in the door? Like, ooh, right, I get it. And we're humans. And that's why we need people to hold us accountable.
Yeah, I think that's another one of those things I've shifted on, because I do think that along with finding, the right tool and the right modality for the right person, you also have to find the right sort of like psychological path to take them down while they're training. Some people might do really well when they like really dial in and they're like, I am doing a lat pull right now and I am 100% focused on that. And then other people want to 100% dissociate and totally forget that they're even in the gym. And they're like, tell me what you did. It's like, tell me a story. Tell me what you did this weekend. So where are you going to go on your next vacation? Whatever. And like some of those actually get a better set when you track them. You're like, you just set a record because I was telling you a story about a movie I watched yesterday. You're like, you added 30 seconds to your set.
It's so true. And that's right. You have to be a chameleon. Like in everything in life, you have to match the person you're with, right? When I show up in my excited, happy, effervescent, overwhelming self to an introvert, man, I can see them just like, oh my God, here she comes. Like, what am I going to do? You have to match people's energy, how they like to learn. And if you don't, you're going to lose them. I think that's such a great point. And it's not about us is what we learn. It's really about them.
Yeah, I think that's that master level skill. We had a really interesting half hour yesterday where all 3 coaches at TNT were training a client. I was training a woman who is a former college soccer player who really, she's strong as hell. She's like stacking our leg press.
Wow.
And I'm putting her through a leg press set and she's literally screaming, right? You know, like she is not afraid to like let loose. While simultaneously, Taylor's over there training a client who it's like her third workout ever. She's never lifted weights before. And she's over there looking scared, like, oh my God, what is. And then Liam's training somebody else, you know, who's like got so, you know, so all of us are training our, you know, obviously we're all moving slow and training hard, but all of us are sort of coaching those clients in a slightly different way, you know. So my client likes to kind of be barked at a little bit, you know, but you know, the woman that Taylor's training is like a younger woman. She's a little cautious because she's very new, and he's got his quiet voice going. You know, he's being very supportive, and Liam's coaching his client the way that client likes to be coached. So
Yeah.
that you definitely have to be mindful
And
of
then
their
trying to help them
preference.
help them filter because they're like, whoa, what's going on over there?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Is that going to be me? Are they going to ask me to do that? I don't want to do that. I don't want to scream like that, right?
We've had some people, literally brand new people, coming in the door. I'm like talking to them about the usual stuff, and all of a sudden from the other room, you know, and then they look at me like, I think I made a big mistake, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, some people, and I'm just like, without missing a beat, I'm like, some people make noise when they're working out.
One of the things I joke about is I want to put a microphone inside the studio and I want to put a speaker outside the studio. So when people are walking by, they're like, what goes on in there?
That would actually be
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun?
Some crazy noisy people.
Is that a whorehouse? Like, what's going on in there? I could just imagine what people think.
That's kind of what the Collins brothers are doing over there in the UK. You know, they take pictures of their clients like right as they're reaching failure. It's all you know.
Last night I had someone, and you know, I think they're going through some other things as well. But with every set, they had this face of like tragic misery. I mean, I've never seen a face like this, like pure suffering. But it didn't seem like it was the workout. It was like they were about to cry, literally, and just wrinkled up, horrible. But just kept digging, you know what I mean? Like kept doing another one. I'm thinking, wow, they must be done. Oh, they did another one, but their face looks like pure torture, you know? And I was like, what is going on, you know?
But I'll tell you, the most interesting thing was this gentleman who came in, an older gentleman, and he looked at me and he said, listen, my face when I work out, it's going to look like I'm in such severe pain that you're going to want to stop me. But I am not in severe pain. So you're going to have to ignore my face and push me anyway.
Yeah.
And seriously, like after rep 2, I think this guy's going to have a heart attack or a stroke. And to know that you can't say, okay, like are you sure you're not like, are you sure you're okay? Like, because nope, ignore my face. And now we're like, if he is ever in a crisis, we're never going to know it. Like, we're not going to know. Like,
you guys need a mask. You need a rock solid mask you can put on that guy.
Or you got to just let him know, like, if ever anything goes on, remind us, like, pay attention to my face this time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm tanking or something, but yeah.
Have a safe word. Watermelon.
Yeah, there you go. But I think the point that we're talking about is that clients, employees, friends, family, everybody shows up differently. And if we don't match that person, we're not going to have a deep connection and we're not going to be able to get the result that we want. And I think that's what we were talking about, is just matching that client's energy, the way they like to be trained, the way they like to be demonstrated to, the way they learn, and making sure that you're showing up for that specific client in an individual way, not treating them like everybody else.
Couldn't have said it any better. That's the personal side of personal training. That's what makes what we do special. And I think that's what makes a personal training business grow at its core, is knowing your people really well and treating them the way that they love to be treated.
Right. Or it's always the relationship that keeps people coming back, right?
No doubt.
Red Bull is such a perfect example of that. On every taste test, it's like the worst tasting drink out there. But people have a relationship with that brand and they keep going back to it because of the relationship they have with the brand, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So I have like 3 burning questions that I wanted to ask you. Based on, your experience. So your podcast and your brick and mortar studio. And so I know you've been doing your podcast a lot longer than your brick and mortar studio, but I think this question could apply to both and you could choose however you want to answer it. There's 3 questions really. And I think we went over already what you've learned and stuff like that. But I want to know, like, And we kind of learned maybe even what you would do differently from a marketing standpoint. But what about building your business? What about those people who are out there who want to they're working in a big box gym. They're having the entrepreneurial seizure that Michael Gerber talks about, and they're getting ready to get started. Now that you're 2.5 years into your studio, what would you do differently today if you were to open up the studio than you did 2.5 years ago? And then I'll ask you the second question after you answer that.
I mean, for me, I would pay more attention to the details of things. Like I feel like we made some small mistakes with little things like elements of our lease or stuff like that. Like just missed it because we were like hot and ready to like find a spot, and the spot we have is incredible, and there's a million great things about it. But I personally feel like there's little things that we didn't really understand or know to look for at the time. So you need good eyes and remember to look for all these things. And maybe we needed more help with someone who's had more expertise in looking at for the right stuff at that point. Like maybe get somebody else like that has experience to look over this for me or with me. And does anything pop out that looks like it might need attention? And that would be true of whatever the details are of what you're trying to do. At this point in my career, I've literally pretty much done every job and every style of job in the fitness business. I've had my own businesses multiple times with business partners. And, my very first business was with 2 women partners, and we did only in-home training. And that was way back in the 80s. And it was 100% in-home. We went to people's houses and trained them in their homes. And, and we were charging good money. This was almost 40 years ago, whatever, when we were charging, $60 a session or whatever back then. And it was a very concierge thing. We went to the homes, we did shopping with them, we helped them, clean out their cupboards and fix their nutrition stuff. And, and you're living in your car, and driving from place to place. And you got to think, what is it that I want from whatever it is I'm trying to do? But, do I want to open my own space? Do I want to go someplace? Do I want to do online things? How do I want to do it? There's a lot of little things to think about.
Yeah. So you're saying have someone look over the lease, not like you wish you had someone help you look over the lease details, not necessarily look for a different location. Am I understanding you right?
Correct.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah. I think that we definitely needed to have we already talked about this. We definitely needed to have a tighter handle on our operating expenses. So you can never have too much cash. So that's one piece of advice. And you can't really look over your operating expenses too much. So you really need to understand those things. You need to plan to pay your taxes. You need to be making a profit. You need to be making enough money to live comfortably. You need to be making enough money to pay your employees. That was a learning experience for us. We hired an employee this year and she quit, and that was unfortunate, but she felt like she didn't have enough business coming her way, and that was probably true. And we set up a plan. We told her, hey, this is the growth trajectory. This is what it's going to look like. And she just said, yeah, that's not good enough for me. So that was unfortunate, and that was a definite learning experience for us. I think that we did the major things pretty well. To Liam's credit, the location that we're in was one that he fought hard for and was a great decision for us because we're in the middle of 3 affluent, popular neighborhoods. And we have benefited from, walk-in traffic and just having a ground level storefront. I mean, you can't overlook the value of that. I think it's naive to think you can open a business and just people will just know you're the best and they'll just flock to you. Unless you're like, you have national recognition or regional recognition, like In-N-Out's really popular in California. If In-N-Out opens a new location, they're immediately just drive-throughs packed day and night. But TNT, if we could have opened, a studio, like we opened a studio in maybe the best location that we possibly could have in Oakland. And I think right now we're just starting 2.5 years in to scale to a point where we feel like, okay, yeah, this mirrors the caliber of service that we're delivering. Like the business that we're receiving actually matches what we expect. And so, I think that the general piece of advice I have is like, don't rest on your laurels. Like when you go out and start a business, especially a small business, and it's not a franchise or nationwide chain, which by the way is probably a great way to go, because having that name brand recognition matters. You have to keep learning and growing and hustling. You need to work really hard for a really long period of time. There's no way around that. Like,
rock solid West.
yeah.
People who think they're going to open a business and not work hard or not have other people helping them, that old saying, I'll work 80 hours for myself so I don't have to work 40 hours for someone else, is true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that forever, especially, if you can get good funding, you can get good loans, whatever, you can hire people to do the things you don't like to do and get yourself removed from the operating part of it. I think us owners can be less operators if we're smart about it and if we can really scale it. And that's the key, is to scale it fast.
For me, I think about it in slightly different terms. What I am trying to be focused on a regular basis is, on a very basic level, am I spending time doing stuff that I like to do? I like training clients, so I don't ever want to have my hands completely out of that. I don't want to be like fully just an owner, because I love people. Like, I like the relationships that we build with our clients. Those are meaningful to me. I also like scaling the business and the entrepreneurial side of things and building systems. Like, it's incredible. It feels like we like cracked a code with like Google reviews to see new people coming in and always referencing those. That feels like a huge, entrepreneurial win for me. I like all that stuff. But I know that I will change, and like my life priorities will change. And so the stuff that I'm spending time on a daily basis today might be different a year or 2 or 5 years from now. And so I just think being mindful of, am I happy with the way I'm spending my time? And not just me. Is Liam happy with the way he's spending his time? Is Taylor happy? Are our clients happy with, the way they're spending their sessions? All that stuff is very important.
Yeah. That's all awesome stuff. I'm just thinking about the nuts and bolts of our application. We're so far removed at this point, I think, from the classic hit model. It's kind of funny because it's still like the skeleton, the foundation of the pyramid, but it's like you would never see like so many of our colleagues, I think, doing the kind of things that we do, as far as how we apply stuff and how we mix it up and match it. And I just think that's a strength for us.
You mean those upside down plyometric BOSU squats we were doing yesterday?
Exactly. Yeah. Always a favorite.
I can't even visualize that one.
Yeah, it's not a real exercise.
I'm like, I can't even visualize what that would look like.
They're defying gravity.
Yeah, totally. You have to use the force.
Got it.
But but I think that's a strength, that kind of, as we were describing earlier, working with that particular older gentleman, but we're customizing and we're listening to the needs and preferences, right? And not just, and the abilities of the person in front of us, and we have room to meet those requests. Like lately we've had guys, specifically say, I want to do some sort of high intensity interval stuff as part of my workout, right? And we have the tools to do it, and we're able to implement it rather than going, well, sorry, all we do is strength training. Go do that outside, go run up a hill, have fun doing that. Instead,
sounds like you're just telling them to hit the road.
Yeah, exactly. And because
run up a hill.
I've seen guys, literally in the big box gyms. I've seen guys, literally tell clients, "Oh, you don't want to like squat, deadlift, bench press? Well, I can't work with you." You know what I mean? Because they're in that power lifter. Or like, "Oh, you don't want to do kettlebells? I can't work with you." Right? We have every tool, literally every tool you can imagine. We have a Nautilus, we have MedX, but we also have barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, sandbags, resistance bands, body weight. These isometric things. We have all kinds of things, and we can mix and match them to this unlimited. We're limited only by our imagination, right? But still safe, still efficient, still all the things that we want it to be. Yeah. So I think that's a cool thing about us, and we play the favorite music of the client that we're working with. Something that, all these other places that, the classic super slow gym, no sound, no music, no mirrors, you know what I mean? No, like everybody's in a tie, right? That's just not us.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think every brand needs to have their image, and every brand needs to have what separates them. And it's really cool that you guys have been able to do that so well and make that part of your client's experience. That's awesome. So my next question that I was burning to ask you both is like, what are you do you have someone on your podcast list that is like just totally over the top incredible you're super excited about, and maybe not, and that's okay? Or what are you really excited about for brick and mortar TNT for the future? Like what gets you up every morning, every day for your future that you're super excited about? Like what's on your, maybe your 1 year or your 3 year or your B hack? I don't know. I'm just curious what's got you guys excited for your future.
I will say that personally, we were like, this is another one of those big things that went right for us, is that we moved into a space that was already built out, meaning it had wooden floors. They're a little scuffed, but they look pretty good. Basically it looks like a dance studio in here, and we have mirrors on the walls, and we have a bathroom that's built out, and we have an office, and we have a client consultation room. We spent $0 on renovating, which was great and allowed us to conserve our cash when we moved in. And so we haven't made any alterations to the space. And that's one thing I am personally looking forward to. This is a concept that Donald Miller talks about. He calls it professionalizing your operation. And that is, I think, an Achilles heel of many, if not most, small businesses, is they look at, people judge, McDonald's and all these, big chains, but they have systematized a business that they know is going to be profitable when it comes to a location. Okay. And you cannot underestimate that. When they put up a new poster, it looks professional, it looks flashy, right? It catches people's attention. And in my opinion, it's important to have a space that reflects the professionalism of the service that we're providing. So we have a great space. It's just not branded TNT right now, and I want it to be branded TNT. So that's something I'm really looking forward to in this next year. Probably, I'm looking forward to making our next hire. I think that we've learned from our mistakes, and we'll do a better job hiring this next time around. And I think our team has gotten closer over the last year. Taylor, will have been with us for 2 years in a couple months, and he's really getting very good at what he does. So it's kind of funny, when we opened our business, it was just me and Liam, right? So it's the owners, and the owners are training all the clients. And so every new client that comes in is happy because they get to train with the owner. And then we brought in this other trainer, and it was, I think, kind of a challenge for some people to accept, like, well, I could train with an owner or I could train with this trainer, right? Even though Taylor's great at what he does, right? He's going to give an equivalent experience that, Liam or I is going to deliver. But certain people, they just training with an owner, means a lot to them. Our business has grown to the point now where everyone's just very busy, and we don't have time. So you get to train with whoever has a spot on their schedule to train with, and people just accept it now. They just, right, this is what's available, and they accept it. And our credibility from our Google reviews plays into that as well. All of us have been mentioned by name in those reviews. And so I think that gives people confidence that, they are going to have a good experience regardless of who they train with. And that's our business model, right? Is that, regardless if you're training with Jesse or Liam or Taylor or Cindy or Sue or Louie or whoever, I don't know if anybody's named Louie anymore after Louis Armstrong, but you're going to have a great experience at TNT regardless. Liam's out there talking with the new clients beating down our door right now. So I'm going to have to answer the remainder of the questions.
Well, that was really my wrap up right there, Jesse. I wanted to know what you guys were excited for in your future, get your listeners excited for you. And I didn't have anything else unless there's something you feel like your listeners need to know and want to know about you and Liam and what's been going on.
Go check out Nice Job. Nice Job is the software service I mentioned that helps you accumulate Google reviews.
Jesse, I'm curious about that, because as you were saying that, it just sounds like it's an autoresponder campaign. So if you had another way to do an autoresponder, couldn't you just set that up without them?
Yep, you could. Nice Job. I think they have a great interface. So they just make things really simple. When your clients get the text, all they do is click the link. It pops up your browser with the review, icon right there, front and center. Same with the email. So it's very streamlined. They set it up really well. It's a cheap service. So if you were to listen to this episode and use TNT as a reference, it would cost you like $32.50 a month to do this.
I'm definitely checking it out.
Yeah, you don't have to use Nice Job, but you should be focused on driving Google reviews. So we weren't focused on reviews at all in the first year, right? And then we got a little bit more focused on it. So we spent $750 printing some TNT t-shirts, and we told our clients, hey, look, leave us a review, we'll give you a free shirt, right? And 16 people did that. So we spent $750, printed 50 t-shirts, and 16 people did it. We went from 16 to 79 reviews using Nice Job.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and it was in about the same span of time also. So it's just an effective, there's a lot of noise these days, right? People are very busy. They're constantly bombarded with all kinds of information. And you just have to be persistent. And it was frustrating when we were just asking people to leave us reviews, because the response would be, of course I'll leave you a review. I'll do it right when I get home. And then they forget for 5 years to do it, So it just has been an incredibly effective tool for us.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Anytime you can get a tip like that, it's worth everything.
Boom, baby.
I'm looking forward to hitting all of the goals that we have set for ourselves, which I know we will. I'm confident. I personally am super intrigued with the static stuff, which I would like to explore more deeply, and I would like for us to add a bit more weighted tools for us to apply that with our clientele. We've been wanting to get some of these machines that, like I said, they can be cost prohibitive. One of the guys who works for the company that makes these machines is a guy you were asking, are other people I'm interested in talking to? I'm interested in talking to him. He's an interesting guy. Again, speaking of controversial, probably a lot of the ideas that he has will sound new and different to many, right? And ruffle feathers, right? Of course, we know you'll be back 50 episodes from now. So,
yeah, unless you have me back sooner.
Well, you're always welcome. As you know, you don't even have to, you can just tell us that you're coming on.
Patty is going to be busy with her own podcast, soon to return, the Be Brave podcast with Kara and Patty.
That's right.
Thank you, Des.
Get caught up on all the classic episodes and get ready for some new ones, folks.
Thank you, Des. But anyway, gentlemen, I know you guys got things to do. Thank you so much for having me today. Congratulations on your 150th episode and 2.5 years in a successful brick and mortar. You made it past your first year. You'll make it past your third year. You'll make it past your 5th year. Those are the big milestones for a small business. So congratulations on that. I'm really super proud of both of you.
We couldn't do it without you, and we definitely couldn't do it without Des. He's a magician.
That I agree. Des, all of this is a huge help to your success, I'm sure.
He's our hero.
It's my pleasure. And I get all the benefits because just having this information, like you said, repetition is important. And if I wasn't listening to this every week, just hey, try this, don't do that, more of this, less of that. And it's just slowly you start believing it, especially when you put it
percolating,
especially when you put it into some of it into action, man. It's all right, they're not full of shit.
Truth, not shit.
TNS.
True, not poo.
Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, Patty.
Thank you. Love you. Miss you.
Love you guys too. Take care of you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Boom, baby.
What's up, people? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of
Truth, not trends.
That's right here at TNT Strength Headquarters, Truth Not Trends.
Please, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and review us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And don't forget to share with a friend.
You can find us on the web at tntstrength.com.
That's right, TNT Strength now coming to you in person at 5255 College Avenue in Oakland, California. You can call the studio 510-768-5421. You can also text us at 855-796-9905.
Or shoot us an email at contact@tntstrength.com. And whatever you do, stay off of that stupid blue bubbly bosun. It also stands for Taku Nutrition and Training.
Bingo.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
I still like Kriya TNT team the best.